Hello. In this video, we will showcase how to fast expand as Atlantean, primarily for team games. The start is really easy, where you get your 2 workers on food. I like this build because it's very simple and it's effective enough and efficient enough for what I need it to do. First citizen to come out goes onto gold. And it could either go on gold or wood, really, but I just throw on gold. Be sure to try to scout out with your oracles, of course. But to start off the game, we use our next citizen that will go on wood to build our manor. Between between Kronos or Uranus will dictate where you want to put the manor. So in this case, as Kronos, we can basically build it as close to we want to build it as close to the gold mine as possible, so that the gold miner can build the temple and receive the bonus that Kronos has of the build speed next to manors. From there, we throw everyone onto food until we're at 17 of 35 population cap. Since this is mostly to showcase the build against AI, we will do a pretend rush with the teleporting temple. Another interesting note is that one could use the temple builder to go onto food to get a 19 out of 35 advancement time as well. That would probably lead to a slightly slower expansion, but a nice amount of aggression that Kronos can really provide, or a strong feint of aggression. Once we're very close to the food required, we start moving citizens onto gold. So we send 17 and 19 villager to gold, and we go with 2 on food, 3 on wood, and 4 on gold. I send this wood villager, over to the expansion because I had no vision, and we want to time shift our manor over there to help build the expansion. So one can easily leave an oracle there to do the work instead. We bring in the temple while aging up. I usually do at about the halfway point of tearing up through Prometheus. And if one is not going through Prometheus, one doesn't have to necessarily do this rush. But Prometheus with Kronos puts on a lot of pressure. And then we time shift our manor onto the expansion. And once we have 350 gold, we move those 3 of the gold villagers to build the expansion. And then we'll have our focus on the harassment of the opponent. Against players, obviously this would be a pretty big part of the game. But we do want to time shift our temple back pretty quickly, because while it is time shifting, it is incredibly vulnerable to any kind of attack. Do a little bit of scouting, and oh, pretty good. From here is, since we got the expansion going, is where one really has to play the map and be very aware of the situations. I like to further the boom with the Prometheus upgrade, where you can spend 100 wood and some favor, make your hero citizens 20% better. So after 4 casts of heroization, or Valor, I believe it's called, you essentially get what's 4 times 30%, at least a citizen worth of value. And they're all heroes, so if they get harassed, as one might, they can actually fend off Mythians fairly easily. To kind of cap off this strategy, I at least build 1 counter barracks and build a couple Terma, heroize them, try to get any close by relics, and then be sure to scout my nearest opponent, and also, if possible, scout out the other opponents, because since this is a very greedy strategy, it is very important to know when to build forces. Following this, I will show you a game that I had played and had fully edited before this video, showcasing a slightly different way of doing this, where I put 2 onto gold. I find either of them to be pretty good. I like this one more because it is simpler and it seems to be just as effective. And it has all the same ideas, where when you age up, you want to have 2 on food, 3 on wood, 4 on gold. Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about fast expanding with Atlanteans, specifically Kronos and Oranos. This strategy is very effective with both of them, and I like to use it in most of my 3v3 games. First thing to know, in this game, it's about a 1300 average player rating. To begin off the strategy, we go with 2 on food, 1 on wood, and then 2 on gold. For the oracles, I like to spread them out slightly past the vision of the towers. Try to get that whole ring to give some information. At this point, I'm thinking about what my enemies' gods are and what my allies' gods are in the general playstyle of the players. I haven't played with any of these players before, so maybe JP Ross, he sounds kind of familiar, but I don't have any real idea of what they generally want to do. With the first gold villager, we just throw down a manor. When it comes to scouting, the priority I have at the start is finding my ideal expansion location, finding all the hunts that are available, and also finding my closest opponent. Very important to know if I'm going to be going against, say, the Greek opponent, Poseidon, where I expect to see cavalry right in my face, or if I'm going against Ra. If I'm going against Ra, then I know I can expect a defensive playstyle. After putting 2 on gold, throw everything on food. And then, as soon as you have enough wood and gold for a temple, take one of the villagers, the one not building the temple, and put them on food as well. So it looks like I'm going to be going against the Ra player, which is a very fun matchup, and I think is very Atlantean favored with the sub-gods that I choose. So, as shown there, I use Kronos' ability to time shift my manor near my expansion. That'll make the expansion produce about 25% faster. One of the advantages of Kronos over Oranos, but both of them have very good advantages. For the second god of choice, we go with Prometheus. The big overarching idea of this fast expansion is that we feign aggression and boom behind it. It's kind of risky to do in the side positions instead of the pocket. Yellow being in the pocket the most secure. But given the size of team games, I believe it's the right choice. Or a valid choice. So, it's kind of interesting, the idea of deconstruction. I throw it out on the nearest temple when I see it. Oh, after we talk about this game from my perspective, I'm going to go through the perspective of our direct opponent, Pedro. He did a very solid build. So we time shift the temple forward so that the Promethean offsprings that come with aging up are directly next to him. And then we'll have exactly amount. Well, sometimes we're a little short on gold on the age up, but we take 3 villagers from the gold and build our expansion. At this point, I want to get as much information about my opponent and possibly do some harassment and deny information for that matter. He doesn't know what I'm doing. I could be going for an all-in for all he knows, while building up my expansion. So, one thing to note, as soon as, in this case scenario, I use 3 gold villagers to build my expansion, leaving 1 gold villager, which is ideal. If there's a case scenario where one uses the wood cutters to build the building instead because of location, it's important to leave about 1 villager on gold for the time being, because we don't know if they're going to go in with an all-in attack or what's the object of the enemy. And also the wood is going to go directly into our next part of our strategy. We are heroizing all of our citizens on cooldown, or hopefully close to cooldown. And we're going to get the unique upgrade to Prometheus where villagers do everything 20% better. Plus a bit of wood, but at about 5 casts, there's the upgrade right there. At about 5 casts of Valor, we have essentially 1 more villager. Citizen. And also, 6 of our citizens, or 5 of our citizens, will be heroes, which are already substantially... They're 10% better. And they're heroes, so they can fend for themselves a little bit. We put down a counter barracks and a barracks to begin with. I see that my opponent has built a 2nd town center, so I know I don't have to go very heavy into building any troops. It might be nice to be somewhat aggressive, but at the same time, it'd be very difficult, and I would prefer to just get into a boom race with him. And I know almost for certain that he's not coming in to attack me. Poking and prodding. Unsuccessfully, might I add. But it does create a sense of uneasiness for the opponent. Okay, Ra uses rain. So that means that they're tearing up soon. So instead of double queuing upgrades as Atlanteans, and well, I guess mostly Atlanteans because everyone else kind of has the easy time with it, but I just build another economic guild. That way I can pre-queue on one and possibly be actively having one upgrade at the same time. Same thing with armories. After aging up, it's important to get as many barracks and counter barracks, whichever route one wants to go, going as quick as possible. I do build them a little bit early in this round, but overall I'm very happy with the way the game is going. Ra and I are just playing to ourselves. I do put an oracle next to my citizens in the middle. Unfortunately, I am blind, and green is green, so he kind of blended in, losing 2 citizens. Special note, this is at 8 minutes in the game, and when we go over red's perspective, we'll see about how much of an economy difference we have. So this is where the opening strategy kind of ends, and it's about what a player wants to do. When visualizing this war, I want to be very flexible in how I approach it. I begin with Cantarius to either be able to raid, or Cantarius and archers. They're very flexible, and although they are very susceptible to camel riders and chariot archers. Oh, here's a big point. So I noticed that green was doing a bit of raiding, and this may have been a bit overkill. That being said, it put the ability on cooldown and secured a couple hero kills and the Hippias. I'd say that was a bit overkill, especially because I don't know what I'm fighting yet. I heroized a few citizens because it does pay itself off after a while, and while going on the aggression, it's good to eco behind it. So I'm going forward, and I'm blind, so I don't see those camel riders. But I notice quickly. So we have engaged our opponent. Now, a real clutch move here would have been to heroize that really low Kantarian, but I don't do it. I kind of waffle around here a little bit, to be honest. At the same time, I am holding my opponent's attention, and we're kind of starting to engage in the fight. And that's probably one of the most important things in any team game. It may seem strange the way I'm microing this, but I don't exactly want to fight him. I want to let my archers kind of annoy him, and hopefully me not send troops to their death like that, but mostly to hold my opponent's attention. And I already know that he's going camels, but it's to hold his attention and always kind of have a little bit of vision on their army. I'm not sure exactly what rally point kept sending archers to their death, but I blame myself. So at this point, I noticed that if I was him, I would just rush left with all those camels. And that's what my opponent does. Now, where my opponent goes wrong is that they retreat. If he would have sent those camel riders into the back of my base, it would have survived, but it would have been far more annoying than what ended up happening here, where he runs through and loses about 4 or 5 camel riders, and there's no threat in the back of my base. This is kind of a part 3 of the strategy. It's no secret that Atlanteans' powers are strong, and they're especially strong. I forget the name of it, but the tier 3 god power that I have here is a perfect tool against Egypt, because a lot of their units, like the Axemen, are counter infantry, and they're also infantry. So if someone has an Axeman army, they end up fighting each other and killing each other really quickly. Same thing with camel riders. And those are very common. So the next part of the strategy is to start getting our favorite income up. Should be noted that Yellow's been doing an excellent job this match. basically taking on green and pink or purple by themselves. But I go back to continue to harass my opponent. He actually ages up to age 4 soon here. But just kind of try to keep the archers away. I over-heroize on archers, so I didn't have the hero power. Chaos. Chaos would have been amazing there. Actually, Chaos would have been game-winning. So, little mistake there. I'm not perfect. And one doesn't need to be perfect to do really well in team games. At this point, I'm going through all my gold and food very quickly, but my wood is stacking up high, which is okay. I can be quickly converted into farms, but mostly putting most of my attention on holding the front line. Yell gets pushed in there by 2 colors, but he doesn't freak out. He just retreats and builds backwards, and I continue to try hold red's attention. Good thing against many teams, like perhaps Greeks or anyone really, is to go on raids. I don't particularly like it against Egypt as Atlanteans because I go around with Kantarians. They can bring out some camel riders. If I go out with Murmillo, get Axemen. Overall, I believe that I can win the front heads up engagement, even though he's on 3 town centers in a fortified position. I have my 2. So I got a whole bunch of hero Arcus. I focus on all the wizards, and then I pull out the chaos. Always micro or macro. A few of my Arcus go into melee mode. He kills the keep, but I feel that the trade still went into my favor. I'm not exactly dying to go to age 4 yet, even though my opponent is age 4. It is spooky, but we've been trading armies so frequently that the amount of resources he has to upgrade shouldn't be out of this world. And again, I'm mostly trying to buy as much time for yellow as humanly possible, because he is doing very well. So I push forward. Alright. I believe the Son of Osiris shows his face soon. He's already got 4 or 5 town centers, and also the other upgrades that increase the durability of buildings. So this town center is made out of steel. It's a war of attrition at this point. I am getting some destroyers out to force the issue. My goal is to push forward, protect my archers, kite back when necessary, keep up the pressure. That elephant does indeed get an archer kill. As long as I'm fighting below population cap, I know that more than likely he is not able to make use of the extra population from his 3rd town center. But I also got my 3rd town center as well. This is when I am somewhat starting to sweat. I feel very strong about my position, but it's time to have a fallback plan just in case with those markets, as that is essentially my last gold mine. Okay, I noticed that yellow's going in. I'm going to try to make sure that red is not able to fight him. Although yellow uses flaming weapons and green uses ceasefire to counter it. kind of worked out more in our favor anyways, because I was a bit slow on applying pressure. And again, I just make a bunch of heroes, because heroes are strong. They get bonuses, extra bonuses from the armories. They're essentially 10% better. They may not be worth the cost technically, but I know this is a big push. I hit tier 4. I throw down the vortex. Son of Osiris still survives. So red brings in his axe army that he was going to use against yellow. And I just play tug of war with him for a little bit here. There's no real strategic changes when going to the 4th age. Destroyers only get stronger, and they are able to cut through the buildings a lot quicker. I noticed that he did have sneak into the gold mine on the left. So I start sending destroyers that way and get the unique upgrade for Atlas to make them nearly invulnerable to arrows. My poor little squids kind of get owned by Son of Osiris here. All in all, he does a pretty solid hold here. Over time, I'd win. And it doesn't help that yellow is broken into his base. And that's about all there is to it. Again, the build is 2 food, 1 wood, 2 gold, all food. Build the temple, keep 1 on gold, send the other 1 to food, age up, and when 1 starts aging up, 2 on food, 3 on wood, 4 on gold. Take 3 villagers or 2 villagers to build the expansion as soon as you get 1 ages up. From there, it's really up to the user. I feel that Atlanteans do excel in heroic plus airs, though. But I've had some fun when casuals going mass Terma, or I've had a lot of success with mass Terma, but mass what's Murmillo? I don't know. GG. Alright, we're going to take a quick look at how Pedro PT played his perspective, and we're going to fast forward through most of it. I'm doing the voiceover afterwards, so I'm going to play it by ear and get to about 8:30. Tighten up his build a little bit by shooting the deer a little bit closer, or giraffes. But overall, from what I've seen, this player plays a really methodical style. He goes for his fast expand, as safe as one could. Gets his farms up, as all good raw players do. Another scenario where I think a granary wouldn't have hurt him, but I'm not a raw main, so what do I know? Has a very unique build setup for all of his infrastructure. Okay, this is the point where we want to look at. From the worker count up on the top left, I'm at 46, which is a very healthy number, even though I lost 2 of them. I also have some heroized citizens, so that I might have more effective population. And my direct opponent, who went in with a very greedy build, is sitting at 41 workers. From here, I'd say that I'd use it with some tweaking, Pedro's build order as well. He had a clear plan, and I think that he he wins many games by being prepared. That's about it. The build is 1 gold, or first 2 citizens on food, 1 gold, 1 wood, all food. And then when you get to 17 civilians on the tracker for population, put 17 and 19 onto gold. You want to go with the same strategy. Alternatively, one can go with putting 2 gold at the start as well. First 2 civilians come out as gold, but I truly think that the 1 gold, 1 wood, all food route is the simplest. And then while aging up at 21 population count, have 2 on food, 3 on wood, 4 on gold. One can also have only 1 on food, but I feel that it gives options in case of emergencies and allows one to think without having to worry too much about food shortages. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any other builds that you think are better, please tell me, and I'd love to hear it. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you.